Generative AI is literally everywhere, right? It's all of our feeds, it's in every conversation. It feels like every single day there's a new tool, a new breakthrough, and a new promise that it's going to change, well, everything. But behind all that incredible hype, there are some major, real-world hurdles we've got to talk about. So in this explainer, we're going to look past the promise and really dig into the problems.
So that brings us to the big question. Is generative AI really the game changer everyone says it is? I mean, it can create breathtaking art, write really compelling text, even compose music that sounds totally human. But is the road to that future really as smooth as it looks?
This is really the heart of the matter. It's this constant push and pull. On one side, you have this unbelievable promise, right? A tool that can basically mimic and sometimes even blow past human creativity. But on the other side, you've got these fundamental problems that we absolutely have to solve before it can become a reliable, everyday part of our world. Okay, so here's our game plan. We'll kick things off by asking if this is a real revolution. Then we're going to dive deep into something called the creativity gap. What is AI art really? From there, we'll uncover the surprisingly high cost of all this, explore the super important human factor, and then we'll wrap up by looking at what comes next.
First up, the creativity gap. Now this is a fascinating one. When an AI makes a poem or a painting, is it actually being creative? Or is it just a super advanced machine playing a game of connect the dots, just remixing all the things it's already seen?
Let's put this in perspective. Think about Pablo Picasso. He didn't just get good at painting. He co-founded Cubism, a whole new way of looking at the world. Or think about Kool Herc. He wasn't just playing records. He literally invented the breakbeat, which became the foundation of all hip-hop. See, they didn't just follow the rules, they rewrote the rulebook entirely. And that right there is the key difference. Real, game-changing human creativity is almost always about breaking the mold. But AI, for all its power, works inside the box. It follows the rules and patterns it learned from all the data we fed it. It's an absolute master of imitation, but it's not yet a true inventor.
You know, this Rubik's Cube analogy explains it perfectly. If you tell an AI to solve the cube, it'll give you a million perfect ways to do it, by turning the pieces, following the rules. But a person, they might just pop the stickers off, or even break the whole thing apart and put it back together solved. That is classic thinking outside the box, a creative leap that an AI, which is stuck playing by the rules, just can't make. Now that kind of rule-based thinking takes a mind-boggling amount of computer power to work. And that power comes with a pretty shocking price tag. Which brings us to our second big hurdle, the incredibly high cost of this technology. And we're not just talking about your monthly subscription fee, not even close. To really get the scale here, you have to understand the complexity. Think of a parameter as a tiny little knob that the AI turns to learn something. Well, OpenAI's GPT-4 has over 1 trillion of those knobs. A trillion. That number is just hard to wrap your head around, especially when you realize its predecessor, GPT-3, which was already a revolution, ran on only 175 billion. And get this, even a more specialized model like Google's BERT has over 100 million. Every single one of those parameters adds to the computational load, and that weight translates directly into massive real-world costs. So what's the actual price tag for all this power? Well, it's huge. First, training these things can take weeks, even months. Second, you need warehouses full of super expensive specialized computers. And third, all that hardware eats up a ton of electricity, which, you guessed it, raises some really serious environmental questions about AI's carbon footprint. All right, this brings us to what might be the biggest hurdle of them all, the human factor. Because AI doesn't just exist in a digital cloud somewhere. Nope, it's built by us, from our data, and it's tangled up with all of our messy, complicated human problems. You've probably heard this before, but it's so true. An AI is only as good as the data you feed it, and that data comes with 4 massive challenges. You need a ridiculous quantity of it, for one, but it also has to be high quality. Then you've got the huge problem of bias. If our data has biases, the AI learns them and can even amplify them. And finally, of course, using all this personal data raises some pretty giant privacy red flags. And that's just the start, because how this data gets used opens up a huge can of worms. There are major debates happening right now about copyright and data theft. There are worries about plagiarism and the terrifying potential for things like deepfakes and identity theft.
These are the really tough, real-world headaches that people are trying to solve as we speak.
And this quote about doctors, man, it just hits the nail on the head. In a field like healthcare, where the stakes are life and death, you can't just take an AI's word for it, even if it spits out what looks like a perfect medical report. A real, qualified human doctor still needs to check it. The risk of getting it wrong is just too high. Human oversight is completely non-negotiable.
Okay, so we've looked at the creativity gap, the crazy costs, the whole human element. Where does that leave us? What's the next step on the road to actually doing this whole AI thing responsibly?
So the path forward isn't just about building bigger, badder AI. It's about tackling these three core challenges head-on. We have to figure out the creativity question, get a handle on the immense costs, and navigate all these incredibly complex issues around people and data.
And all of this leaves us with one final, really important question. This technology is moving at lightning speed, weaving itself into our lives every day. The real challenge is, can we solve all these problems before this tech is so deeply integrated into our world that we can't even untangle it? That's definitely something to think about.